Welcome to the Rocket Roof Show, where we equip fellow roofers to do more commercial business every first and third Thursday of the month. It's time to launch your business to the next level.
This is Project Command. Stand by at power transfer.
3, 2, 1, blast off!
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Rocket Roof Show with your host, Andy Neer, with Empire Roofing Contractors in Michigan. But I also like to do this podcast to help equip and educate contractors in the commercial roofing industry. So today's topic, we're talking about closing, which is the final segment of a sale. So we're not going to be talking about the front end. We're going to talk about actually closing the deal. And who better to bring on the show than the master closer himself, the master of disaster, the legendary Dale Childress. So welcome to the show, Dale.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm grateful to be here. This is going to be a good show.
I appreciate it. I am going to have to confess, it took a little bit of work to get Dale on the show. He's a busy man, and so I just had to be, I actually had to be the closer and try to close Dale. So I feel pretty pumped that I made that happen. So
well, I'm glad you made it happen, man. I'm glad to be part of it.
Okay. And I want to just say, I met you once down at the IRE a couple years ago. And, sometimes when you meet people and you haven't seen them in person, they look smaller or shorter than you think they are, but you actually you're like a mountain of a man. I mean, you're a big dude.
Yeah, I do kind of tend to stand out just a little bit in the crowd.
Yep. So yeah, let me just start off by having you tell a little bit about yourself, your background in a nutshell, and what you're doing.
So, again, thanks for having me, Andy. I really appreciate it. I know we've been friends for a long time, and both of our schedules are very busy. So I'm glad that we were able to pull this off today.
Yep.
A little bit about me. I've been naturally attracted to sales most of my life. Even when I was a little child, I would have asked for sales books for my birthday and for Christmas. Like I wanted to learn and absorb knowledge and become better as a person internally first. So I worked on myself most of my life. I didn't get a late start when it came to sales.
Okay.
And I think my dad was an entrepreneur. My biological father was an entrepreneur, and I picked up a lot of things. I didn't get to spend a whole lot of time with him growing up, but the few things that we did that I did learn from him was his entrepreneurship. And I was taught at a young age, sales is how you can control your own income. And so I grew up with that mindset, that logic. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be able to control my own income, and you can definitely do that in sales. I'm very grateful that I got into sales at a very young age.
Yep.
Now, it's so funny, man, because I used to, I had my own auto repair business for over 10 years. And I'm actually a master mechanic. Nobody knows that. Now the whole world. The whole world's gonna know now. I've been a master mechanic for most of my young adult life, and then I sold that business, got into some other businesses, and ended up in roof sales about 9 years now. And when I got into roof sales, I didn't know anything about roofs.
Was that like a friend invited you, or you just?
Well, there was a company that was actually trying to recruit me, and they attempted to recruit me at least a solid 6 months. And finally, I was like, you know what? I never wanted to be a roof salesperson. Didn't even know that the opportunity existed. Mm-hmm. I had no idea that this industry existed, and I don't think most people know. If you're outside of roofing, I don't think most people know that this is even a thing. Mm-hmm. What we do.
Right.
And so I applied my sales skills towards roof sales and started putting up some really killer numbers. And other companies were asking me, hey, can you come and teach my guys whatever it is you're doing? Completely I did not plan to do that.
Yep.
Word just got out of what I was doing. And here's some a gold nugget for those that are listening. One of the quickest ways that I got such a big start in roof sales was I chose not to learn what everybody else was doing. Now, again, I went into roof sales with a very advanced knowledge of selling, but I didn't know jack about roofs. I knew nothing about roofs. Nothing. Like, I didn't even know how a gutter was attached to a house.
I just seen somebody bashing a guy on a roofing company owner. He's been doing it for a few years. He's pretty successful. And he put an ad out. I'm looking for somebody that has nothing about roofing. You might have seen this ad. And I want to start it from green, and we're going to train you and teach you. And people got on there and like, oh, just what we need, more people that don't know nothing about sales. And it's like, this guy's already proven he can do it.
You're right.
And he doesn't have all these bad habits coming in. You're going to train him how you want him.
Exactly.
People don't think that's good. It's crazy.
I know. And here's, I can already tell you, again, I've been doing this for so long now. I've seen trends, and I know how most of the people in our industry think about things like that. And here's all I can tell you. Those that think they have to rely on product knowledge in order to sell simply don't know professional, world-class ways of selling.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to. You don't have to rely on product knowledge to sell. Now, I'm not telling you it's not important. I don't want anybody to mistake what I'm saying here. I don't want anybody to take me out of context. It's very important. But here's the thing, man, it's going to come with the job. Mm-hmm. You're going to learn the product knowledge as you go. Do not depend on product knowledge and think that because you know the product so well, you can sell it. It's way, the game is way different than that.
And we're going to get into some of them techniques in a minute. But I want to ask you a quick question here.
Okay.
Expound on this idea. People like to buy things, but they don't like to be sold.
Yep. It's got to be their idea. Mm-hmm. Just in layman's terms, make it their idea and they'll do it. This ain't rocket science.
That's right.
Hey, maybe that should be your slogan.
I will try that. This ain't rocket science.
But we are in the people business. We communicate with people. We form those relationships, and we lead them to make the decision that's best for them. That's what we do. Exactly. There's no trickery here. We're not doing anything unethical. Matter of fact, you have to be ethical if you're going to survive. There's no way you can do this and be shady.
Yep.
It's going to catch up with you if you are.
Yep. Your sins will find you out.
You gotta always do the right thing, man.
Yep.
But here now, I will tell you this, Andy. I made it a point to not learn what everybody else was doing in sales. In other words, listen, guys, unless you want to be like that person that's teaching you, don't take that person's advice.
Right.
So if you want to be like the guy that you're working beside, if you want to do his numbers, then pay attention to what he's doing. But if you don't want to be like that guy, you might want to find your how-to somewhere else. Yep. Your source. So verify the source.
So what's the most common thing you see guys doing wrong that are like, you're like, man, I don't know why people struggle with this all the time.
Yep.
It's what is that thing?
Man, that's an easy question. I'm glad you asked that question. It's actually my favorite thing to teach too. This is so easy to screw up. Here's the answer. They forget to stay in agreement with the prospect. Mm-hmm. And because here's the thing, either they don't know, because there was a long time I didn't know, or they forgot, because it's easy to forget. It's easy to get tunnel vision and think of where you want to go on the appointment and forget to stop and actually listen to what they're saying and agree with what they're saying.
Right.
The moment, look, we have to agree. We have to stay in agreement with that prospect. Now, let me give you an example real quick, just for the perspective of the audience. If someone says, I'm not interested, I mean, how many of us have gotten that one before?
A lot. Yep.
Listen, you're dead in the water unless you do this one thing first. You have to agree. You have to let them know that you understand that they're not interested. Mm-hmm. If you don't do that one simple little step, it doesn't matter what else you do.
Right.
So when someone says, I'm not interested, all you should say is, hey, I hear you. I completely understand that you're not interested. Here's how it works.
Yep. I was actually going to role play with you for a minute. Like, if it's a commercial building and, and we're like, they deal with budgets and they're like, you know what, we know we need a new roof, but it's just not in the budget this year. Maybe we'll look at it next year.
Yep. So, what I would do is you got to be able to decipher, is this a actual objection or are they just giving me information? They in that particular scenario, they may be just giving you information, which is it's still important. You gotta always be on a recon mission. So you're always fact finding, you're always gathering information, you're always updating your records and your CRM, especially on the big deals. So here's the thing: if you got to be able to determine it. Are they being legit? Are they serious? Like, are they being genuine? Or is this something that I can handle? I can turn it around and close this deal. So budget constraints. I mean, I'm always proactive. Sooner's always better than later. And, you can agree with them and say, hey, I completely understand when your budget's going to open up. Why don't we at least go ahead and start the preliminary inspections now? Why don't we go ahead and at least take a quick look or do the core samples now and see what we're dealing with? So when you are ready for your budget to open up, we'll already have everything in place. I'm still going to move forward because I'm constantly gathering intel. There's not going to be there'll never be a wasted appointment unless I show up and they're not there.
Yep. So I'll throw another one at you. This is one I just had yesterday. The guy's like, I'm super interested. He's telling me he already likes my company. He actually told me I have another roofer that I know really well. He's been servicing stuff, but I just don't trust him to do this big of a project. And that's why we called you. And but he's like, honestly, I bought this building and I'm going to put a certain business in it. But he's like, my wife likes to travel a lot. She's expensive. And if this roof costs too much, she's just going to tell me no. So I've got to be able to make it work, and I, like you said, I agreed with him. I'm like, yeah, wives are expensive. We got to keep them happy.
Yep. There you go.
But I said, it's you got a roof here too. And if it fails, that kind of hurts the whole building. Yep. And so he was in agreement with me there. But like, what do you say about a guy like that? He's almost like saying my wife's actually the decision maker here.
So when price is an issue, what I want you to do is you got to put them at ease first. So you got to agree with them and let them know you understand their perspective. And then you just simply say, hey, I'm not going to let price determine whether we do this deal today or not. And what that does is that actually neutralizes the part of their brain to feel the need to make price the issue. When you just simply say that, you just say it. I'm not even going to tell you to do anything else because that's not the issue. They're bringing up price because they don't know what else to bring up.
And I would encourage anybody to look back at a time when they spent more money on a product or service that they didn't anticipate it, but they were still happy with the product. And if you look back through how that sale laid out, they helped you to buy. They helped you through the sales process. But that just goes back to, we don't like being sold. We like buying things.
Yep. It's got to be their idea. So anytime you can make it their idea, it's going to play out a whole lot more in your favor. But the thing is when someone says a price issue, let them know, say, hey, look, I'm not going to let price determine whether we do this deal today or not. If we don't do this deal because of price, it'll be my fault, not yours. Now, a lot just happened just then. Whenever you say that you've done a couple things. You did a pattern interrupt because you knocked them off of their game. They thought they were going to use price as a reason to stall or not do it. And you're turning around and doing the exact opposite. You're saying, hey, I'm not going to let price determine whether we do this deal today or not. If we don't do this deal today, it'll be my fault, not yours. See, that's accepting full responsibility.
I kind of look at sales guys and customers like, we're on, what's it called? Smash Mario Brothers. We got our special powers. We got our special weapons. And the biggest weapon objection that the customer has is the money objection. So if you can neutralize that objection, that's their biggest weapon. All the other ones are easy, right?
Well, plus, I mean, now we've got financing options. I know with Conklin. Conklin's a great, coding is a great solution.
Especially when you're going money, especially when you go into recession or people are uncertain about money, and you can give them a way to avoid tear off or something like that. So
It's
Yeah.
a great way to save money. If he's really is price conscious, maybe the coatings, he's a prime candidate for that.
Yep.
I would make that the reason we should do this deal.
Yep.
I would make that the reason, I would make that the reason to move forward.
Yep.
If price is important to you, you're going to love what I got to show you.
Exactly.
See,
Now, what do you think about putting a little? I'm just saying that what I do, but sometimes I put in there. I say, of course, we got to make sure this is a good candidate for a coating.
Yep.
'Cause I don't just coat everything I see. So once we get over that it's a good candidate. Of course, people when they hear that, they're like, "Ooh, I hope my roof's a good candidate."
Yeah. Yeah. The roof may not even be a candidate for what we do.
Yep. Exactly.
Yep.
So another thing that happened at the end of that sales process, we were getting ready to get in the truck, and he asks me, "So can you do this in the wintertime, or do we have to wait till spring?" Like I haven't even written the estimate yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he says that, and that's what I call a buying signal, correct?
Oh, yeah. I would ask him when he wants it done.
Okay. I didn't do that, Dale. I probably should have.
Hey, look, I would say, look, man, this is your property. How soon would you like to get it done? And again, remember how I just said a few minutes ago, it's got to be their idea.
Oh yeah.
That's a great example right there. I'm glad you said that.
I learned something today right there. Just ask them, right?
That's a great example. When do you want it done? How soon do you want it to be over with?
That's great.
Another thing that I do, Andy, is I say, hey, tell me about the last time. Have you ever had the roof replaced before? And if they say yes, I'm going to hit a home run because they're going to tell me how to close them with that one question. They're going to, if I say, hey, you ever had your roof replaced before? And they say yes, all I'm going to say is, what did you like most about what they did? And they're going to give you an answer, but you got to shut up and listen when you ask that question. You cannot keep talking. And then I want you to say, what do you wish they had done differently? And that's going to be how you close them on this deal. Whatever that answer is how I'm going to close them. Wow. Because here's the thing. Let's say they replaced their roof 15 years ago. And if they can still remember what they didn't like about what that crew did, then it was important enough for them to hope that that doesn't happen again.
Right.
I promise you, they don't even know that about themselves.
Yep.
So when you ask them, what did they not like about the last time? That's whatever that answer is what they're still concerned about you doing as well.
Interesting.
And you're going to use that as the reason to close them. Well, hey, if he says, well, the last crew that when they did the tear off, they didn't secure everything and the material blew all over and it damaged the neighbors, the adjacent building's property, you know, and they're telling you right there what's important to them. And it was such a big deal to them 15 years ago that they still remember it.
Yep.
And so that's all you got to hit on.
Yep.
You go through your normal stuff, but make sure you bring that part up later during the presentation. Now, a rookie would do this. A rookie would immediately say, well, we're not going to do that. You don't have to worry about that with us. We're not going to do that. No, don't do it then. You don't show your hand all at once.
Right.
You're saving the information. You're saving the data in your head so you can use that as leverage to close the deal in the presentation.
Right. Okay.
Don't show your hand up front.
Okay.
You're always thinking, can I leverage this information to close them in 20 minutes from now? Okay. Don't show them your hand up front.
So another common one we run into is, dealing with a facility manager or maybe, somebody that's managing the property. Maybe he's a repairman in the building, but he's not the owner. And the owner has sent him out like a messenger to get estimates and do the little thing. And usually when I talk to facility manager, they'll kind of tell you like, I don't know what I'm doing, man. I don't know nothing about roofing.
Yep.
When I have an issue, the boss tells me to go up and slap some tar on it and whatever. But the building owner's like, well, I told John, the repair guy, to do it. Now he's gone and done it. I forget about it. Well, now they're talking to me about a roof and talk to me about how do you make that facility manager, how do you arm him with the right information and help him to be your salesman when he goes to talk to the committee or the board or the building owner?
So write this down. Everybody's listening, write this down. I'm dead in the water without your help.
That's what you say.
That's what I tell them. I'm dead in the water without your help. There's no way I can help the owner of this property without you being involved. Now, If you don't make them feel important, they're going to make them feel important.
Mm-hmm.
If you're tired of the gatekeeper not letting you through, it's because you're not making them important. You can get past those guys all day long by empowering them. Here's the thing. Nobody does that. Nobody empowers the gatekeeper. Mm-hmm. Nobody empowers the property manager. If you put all the clout, if you give them all of the power and you say, hey, I'm dead in the water without your help, how can you get me in front of Mr. So-and-so for 3 minutes? You're going to be the hero. I'm going to show you how you're going to be a hero before I leave here today. And then I show him why it's imperative that he introduces me to the building owner, the property owner. I give him everything he asked for. If he's getting 3 estimates, I'm going to give him 3 estimates. Why? Look, why do we all assume that when they say they want 3 estimates or 3 bids, why do we all just automatically think, well, we're just going to give them 1 and we're going to compete against the other 2? Guys, you're missing it. Give them 3 estimates from you. You give them 3 estimates. Good, better, best.
Yep.
You give them 3 estimates. If they want 3 estimates, give them 3 estimates. Why do you want to give them 1 estimate and wait on them to get 2 more estimates from 2 other companies?
Right. Interesting.
I'm telling you, give them 3 estimates.
Yep.
But empower them first. Hey, I'm dead in the water without your help. There's no way I can help the owner of this property without you being involved. What's the best time for me to pop by so you can introduce me for about 3 minutes? I just want to shake his hand. It
also works the other way too. If you could unempower him, if you say, are you the decision maker right off the bat, and say, is there a way I can get to the decision maker? Because you're kind of making him feel unimportant, right?
Exactly. So that's a good point. I'm glad you emphasized that. You got to make people feel important. You got to. And another thing that I do, Andy, in the real world is, I learned this a long time ago, and it does help. I want you to raise the tone, and this takes practice. I want you to raise the tone of everyone you encounter while you're on that property. I want you to be so over the top positive that they can't help but feel that. Mm-hmm. And you never know, man, if you're over the top positive to everybody, even the janitor. Do not walk past the janitor and say, hey, how you doing? You know, isn't this a nice place? Isn't this a wonderful place to work? Blah, 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 whatever. You want everybody in that whole entire building to know that you're there. Everybody.
I had a certainteed sales rep. It was my sales rep for a long time, named Larry Cernick. And he probably doesn't even know he impacted me like this, but he was always so enthusiastic and positive. It just bled.
Yep.
And he's probably the only guy that ever called me pal. He'd always be like, how you doing, pal? And he'd have a handshake, so sincere and genuine. But you always were like, this dude is never selling me anything. He's so positive, enthusiastic that I just feel so comfortable. And I started using that whenever I go somewhere. I'm like, you gotta be like Larry. You gotta be enthusiastic. Even when you don't feel like it, you got to just say hi to that guy that's walking by that most people aren't going to say. Like you said, the janitor, you're just going to, and we all get that feeling, right? We're walking by him and you're like, I don't want to start a conversation, or
you never know. You never know who the owners might be. You never know who might be related to the owner.
Yeah.
So don't just write somebody off because they got a broom in their hand. Mm-hmm. There's so many different things, little bitty tiny things that you learn throughout the years. I mean, I know you've ran into a lot, and there's been times I've talked to people and had no idea they were the owner. Mm-hmm. So don't assume, just if you're going to assume anything, assume that they are all the decision makers, and treat them all with the respect and give them all the power. What it does is it helps you stay in control.
Exactly.
It helps you stay in control. You can't partially control it. You've got to stay in full control, and the only way you can do that is you put everyone else on a pedestal. It's very psychological. Nobody can argue with you if you agree with them about everything.
That's right.
Try it. Try it when you go home. Start agreeing with everything your wife says, and watch what happens.
She's going to get suspicious.
You can't argue.
They always say, do you want something? Are you trying to?
It does look suspicious. I agree. I agree with you, man. It looks suspicious.
Our sponsor, Next Level Roofer, offers informative masterclasses that explore the issues holding back roofing businesses just like yours from doing more commercial. To register for the next webinar, go to 360nextlevelroofer.com.
So I got a couple more questions here I want to hit because I want to keep this really value packed for the day. So recruiting versus marketing. I mean, this could happen if you're trying to get sales guys or if you're trying to land a job, but it's the whole idea. Are you a hunter or a trapper? Are you waiting for people to come to you? Or are you going out and getting them? So talk to me a little bit about, because you said somebody recruited you to come into the roofing industry. So they seen your potential and they're like, this guy is going to be a killer. Let's, is that a little different than like doing an ad and waiting for somebody to come in and then you got to wait to see if they got what it takes?
So what I do is I pull out all the stops. So here's the deal. I'm not going to rely on one of anything. I'm not going to rely on one source to recruit. I'm not going to rely on one way of promoting or marketing or getting in front of people. I want you to expand your mindset to where your goal is how many different ways can I recruit?
Yep.
Start expanding your mindset on what's possible. Is it possible? Here's a big one. Write this down. Hire your customers. Is it possible that you have previous customers in your database that may be looking for an opportunity? Start with your customers. Usually, my clients that I consult in this manner, that's all they ever have to do is dig in their database and let them know, hey, we're doing a special onboarding program. It's exclusively for our previous clients. We're having an orientation on these days, and everybody there are people that we've helped. Everybody there is someone that owns a property that we've put a roof on. We'd love for you to come down and check out the opportunity that we're offering. Start with your clients, your previous roofing clients, and hire them. Why would I want to do that? They already have a roof of mine on their property, so it's a wonderful example. They can say, hey, I had these guys put a roof on my property, and now I work for them. Now I sell roofs for them. How powerful is that statement?
It is very powerful. I know I always like to ask questions because of what the first fear that pops in my head. I'm assuming 1,000 other people have the same fear. Is that like calling individual people or just doing a mass campaign?
I would tell them individually and then invite them to an event, a hiring event at your office or at a predetermined location.
Okay.
I would absolutely do it that way. You'll have great success doing that. And again, it falls back on the premise of never do one of anything. You don't want to do the hiring campaign one-on-one. I recommend you're always recruiting every day, and you're inviting people to your hiring event, whatever day or how often you do that. Then you can do that one pitch to 20 or 30 people at a time.
Doesn't that create a little bit of scarcity too mindset where people are like, oh, there's other people fighting for this position.
Exactly.
And they're only going to take the best of us 15 people sitting here.
Well, that, and not only that, but you get the excitement and the energy of the room.
Oh yeah.
So you're building momentum. We all feed off of energy.
Yep.
So when you're in a concert, for example, which is more exciting, a live concert with 1,000 people around you and everybody's cheering and having a great time, or you're one person listening to the artist?
Yeah.
It's the energy, and you create that dynamic with a hiring event, and you invite all your previous clients to the event, and you never stop hiring. I don't recommend you ever stop hiring. My best clients in roofing hire all the time. They never stop hiring.
Now, this might be a foreign concept to people to think, okay, I might be able to have, sales guys or future employees come in, but business owners, would business owners come to a luncheon or?
Hey, we're entrepreneurs. If anybody's looking for opportunity, we're always looking for opportunity. That's in our nature.
Yep.
You're going to have more success dealing with business owners.
Yep.
Than private individuals.
Okay. Good
It's
to know.
the mindset. You're already there.
Yep.
You don't have to teach them how to go out and be motivated. They've done it their whole life.
Right. So next question is, a lot of guys they listen to the show are either trying to start commercial or maybe they're residential and they're too scared to go to commercial.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's talk about a guy he's used to closing $20,000, $30,000 deals. I mean, it's not like super easy, but he can do it. But now all of a sudden, $100,000, $200,000 deal looks impossible to him.
Yeah.
How does that the closing? Once again, we're talking about closing, not talking about marketing and to beginning of sale, but closing that client. Does that look different? I mean, I know there's sales trainings out there that's like how to sell high-end merchandise like Lamborghinis and yachts. That takes a different type of person, right? So tell me some different things that a guy needs to do to talk to $100,000 jobs.
So there's some adjustments to make. So I'm not going to go into a private residence, and I'm not going to carry myself the same way I would carry myself on a $1 million commercial deal. You have to tone it down a little bit when you're in front of a different demographic. And the same goes in the opposite. When you go into an environment where you're dealing with executives, you want to step it up a little bit. Now, listen, if you don't feel comfortable doing that, then you're faced with two options. Do I push through and do it anyway and learn and get better? Or do I work on myself more until I am more prepared to go in and do this monster deal? That's your two options. Or your third option is don't do anything at all. A lot of people get uncomfortable and they don't do anything at all. That's retreat.
So I'm going to give you an example of what helped me. It was kind of an accident, but it kind of helped me. It was years ago. I had a roofing company, but I also had a dumpster company on the side. And the city ordinance was like, hey, we can't have your equipment showing in front of your business. You got to have a fence to cover, because I had all these dumpsters sitting out there. And so they sent a letter out to like 12 or 13 businesses in the city to come to the council meeting to listen to what we have to do. So we came there and showed up. Well, only 2 business owners showed up, me and the local food processor. And so we had the council meeting, we're listening. And then they went into closed session. And we had to step out while they did their closed session so that we could come back in and listen to what they're going to say. And while we stepped out, we kind of introduced ourselves. I said, because now we have a commonality, right? Me and this guy named Jeff, that's a local food processor. We're both at this council meeting to talk about why our garbage needs to be covered up. And instead of me being this little contractor that I'm trying to beg for business and this food processor that I can't really relate to, now we're on the same level playing field, right? So we start talking, what do you do for business? What do you do for business? And then it ended up with like, we might need some roofs done. I'll be giving you a call. And it was right out of that raised my confidence up to like, you know what, they're just business owners like I am. They have needs and they know about food processing, but they have no idea about roofing.
Yep.
And so I'm the expert in that field.
You are the expert. You're the expert. Guys, if you don't know that you're the expert, how can they know you're the expert?
Right.
So there's 3 things, Andy, to answer your question. You can cover these 3 things regardless of who you're in front of. And as long as you stay on track, you can still have a successful appointment. The first thing is, here's your problem. You have to show them that they have a problem or they're not going to listen. That's step 1 out of the 3 things. Here's your problem. Now, what's the easiest way to show someone their problem? You can take photos of it and show it to them. You can get them out there and show it to them. You can do a video walkthrough and show them the video. However, there's a bunch of different ways to show people their problems. Keep in mind, they probably don't know they have a problem. So you're talking about closing the deal on a new roof when they don't even know they need a roof.
Yep.
So we got to establish step 1, which is the problem. Nothing else matters unless they know they have a problem. Step 2 is, here's how we can solve that problem. And then you show them, hey, here's other people that we've helped the same way in similar situations. And step 3, which is the last thing, is here's what we need to do now in order to move forward. Most people never go for the close. They don't ever get to that moment that I just said. Here's what we need to do now in order to move forward. Here's what they do. They show them that they have a problem if they're aware of this concept. They might even show them how awesome the company is and start bragging about the credentials and testimonials and reviews and all this stuff. But they forget to go for the close. They say, if you decide you want to do this, here's my card. Give me a call whenever you're ready. Mm-hmm. And that's how they avoid getting a no, because nobody's going to say no to getting your card and telling you I'll call you if I decide to do it. You're not even going for the close. So what I want you to do is the opposite. I want you to give them an opportunity to say yes or no. And most times they don't get that opportunity.
Right.
So here's what we need to do now. And Mr. Property Owner, has everything that I've shown you today made sense? That's how I transition. Mr. Property Owner, has everything we've discussed today so far made sense? When he says yes, or he gives an affirmative answer, all I want you to do is say, perfect. I'm going to sign right here saying that I'm the rep that takes full responsibility for making sure that everything goes perfect on this project. And you okay right below my name on that line. That is the close. Word for word. That is the close that I use. I've closed, my first year, I closed $9 million in residential with that close.
Can you tell me what your percentage was?
What do you mean? Like the percentage of people that I closed compared to the people I talked to?
Correct.
It fluctuated because the better I got, the higher my percentage got.
Exactly.
Here's the deal. I figured out a way to close well over half consistently because of follow-up. Mm-hmm. Now follow-up has nothing to do with your closing ability. Follow-up is its own skill in itself. That's a step that most people don't even know exists. Follow-up is this: how do I make them think of me one more time without them realizing that I'm following up with them? So if you are following up, I want to congratulate you. You're probably still doing it wrong.
So you're saying follow-up's actually part of the close?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. It's a step. Follow-up is a step that has to occur in order to systemize your sales process. Mm-hmm. It has to occur. If you are going out and burning through leads and you're knocking a door and you're talking to somebody and you're getting on a roof, but you're not following up with them, guys, other companies like myself can come in behind that and close that deal because we do understand follow-up. Mm-hmm. And I promise you, if I were to go right now, Andy, to the last 10 people that the average roof salesperson would talk to, and if I wrap that deal up and close them, but I ask them, hey, why did you choose me instead of this last guy that came through here? And you know what their answer is most of the time? Because they didn't follow back up with me. Mm-hmm. Most of the time.
Yep.
So my question is, how many of our prospects that we've already talked to, maybe how many people that we've already given estimates or bids to, how many of them could say that about us today? That they're doing a deal with somebody else because I didn't follow back up with them. How many of those do you have sitting out there right now?
Yeah.
That's where the money is.
I did a furniture store a couple years ago that, I was pretty excited to do because I've been seeing their ads since I was a kid. It's like, oh, whoa, they called me, and, but when I met with him, he was like, oh yeah, we got to do this. We got to do this.
Yep.
But he didn't do it for 2.5 more years, almost 3 years. And, I called him 9 times between that time and the 2.5 years. And when I went in to sign the contract, he actually told me, Andy, come over here. And we come over in the corner, and he was, I just got to tell you, you are good at follow up. And you go, and I'm thinking, I'm not really that great, but he says, you were persistent, but you weren't pushy. Yep. And he goes, it was our choice to kick the can down the road.
Yep.
And we decided to do this and that. But he says, I actually told all my sales guys, you need to do what Andy's doing because, he doesn't push you, but he's been pleasantly persistent. And I'm like, that was a great compliment. And
yep. You are good at follow up though. You actually really are good. I can personally attest to that. So you are good at follow up. Here's what you don't want to do. Can I share with everyone a common mistake that people make in follow up? One of the most common mistakes in follow-up is that you let the person know that you're following up with them. So from now on, what I want you to do is do the opposite. I want you to think of reasons to talk to them without letting them know that you're intentionally following up. So follow up is this: how can I make them think of me one more time without them realizing that it's follow up? That is world-class level follow up.
Like sending them another little piece of information.
Yeah. Here's some data I found on your roof. That's follow up.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you take a sample and show them a sample. Hey, I know I popped by uninvited. I know I popped by and we didn't have an appointment set, but I had a sample in the truck. I threw it in the truck this morning. I thought about you. And
people love that when you say that, right? I thought about you.
Absolutely. And then I got caught back up early enough today to pop by here and drop it off for you.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's world-class follow-up. They have that doesn't even look like follow-up, right?
Right.
That is the very essence of following up.
Exactly.
When you send someone an email and the email says in the subject line, following up.
Yeah.
That is not follow-up. And that is what most people make the mistake doing.
Right. I did get an appointment a while back that the guy pushed it off for like 4 or 5 times. And finally I said, hey, I wanted to reach out. I'm going to be in your area on Monday. And I had done this 2 times before too. I'm going to be in your area on Tuesday and just want to know if I can stop by and chat. And the 3rd time he said, I won't be on Monday, but I will be on Thursday.
There you go.
Right?
That's when no means yes, right?
Yep.
Absolutely. Andy, here's my pitch. Andy, do you use a drone in what you do, in some of what you do? Okay, great. This is perfect. And those of you that are listening in the audience, if you use a drone, you can steal this, copy this from me. When I started using this pitch, it changed everything. And again, you can put your own spin on it, but you got to listen to what's actually going on here. If I knock the door or I go meet someone, the first thing I'm going to do is not introduce myself by giving them my name. I'm going to thank them for meeting with me. I'm going to say, hey, thank you so much for making the time to meet with me today. Thank you so much for coming to the door. Thank you so much for sitting down with me for 2 minutes. I'm with the drone survey team. And for the next 48 hours, we're droning the block. Would you like to be notified if we find any damage on your property while we're droning the block? That's my pitch. What property owner would not want to be notified if you find damage on their property while you're droning the block?
Right.
That's solid. It really is.
Yep.
Because if they say no, then you can just back up and apologize and say, hey, I know I went through a lot of information just now in the last 2 minutes. Here's what we're really doing. And then you just want to say the same thing again with different words. But make it your fault. You got to accept responsibility. If there's something they don't understand, if there's something they don't understand or they're unclear or uncomfortable about something, it's our job as a professional closer to make them comfortable.
Yep.
It's our job to make them understand. And then if they say, yes, I would like to be notified, then all I want you to do is zip it and say, perfect, I'll have your photos ready in about 15 minutes if I find anything. And then you just do the inspection. You'll do 20 in a day if you use that pitch.
Wow.
It's that strong.
Yep.
So
okay.
There's my gift to the audience today.
Appreciate that.
That's a strong pitch. It really is. If you get the courage to use it.
Okay. That is something. And sometimes we hear something and it's a technique that somebody uses and it's worked. And then we're like, well, it won't work for me, or you just don't believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you go to use it, I know we tell ourselves the lie, like, I'm not going to say it right, or the customer's not going to react.
Then what?
The right way. Yeah.
Then what? What happens then? You still get to go home.
Oh, that's right.
You still get to eat dinner.
That's right.
You still get to go to bed.
Yep.
Guys, we're so terrified of rejection, and I don't even think it exists. I think it's a thing in our head. It's a myth. Yep. I think rejection is a myth. I don't believe it's real. I think it's something that exists in between our ears. And
I'm sure you think about this all the time when you are somewhere, maybe you're on vacation or whatever, and somebody's trying to sell you a timeshare or trying to sell you an excursion or something like that. And and they're gone, you know, and you're like, if they would have tried harder, I probably would have bought. Or why didn't they try to close me? You know, like sometimes I get calls like this, and I'm like, I almost want to be like that guy in the movie that's like, your pitch sucks. Try a little harder.
Yep.
You'd have just went a little bit longer, I would have bought it.
Well, I admire a salesperson who's trying to close the deal. I like it. I love it. I breathe it. I live it. And what you're talking about right now is so common because most salespeople, the vast majority of salespeople, are not aware that the close is its own separate step apart from the sale. So as I mentioned earlier, when you're finished talking about how awesome the company is and how easily you can make this for them and how knowledgeable you are and how many other people you've helped just the same way, that's all the sell. You're selling them on the idea of using you. That's what we call the sell. The close is where you go for the signature. Most people never go for the close because they don't even know the close is its own step. The close is simply, hey, has everything we've covered today made sense? When they say yes, then you say, perfect. I'm going to okay right here, saying that I accept full responsibility for making sure everything goes perfect on the project. And then you okay beside my name. You okay below my name. That's the close. That is the close.
I've heard Grant Cardone put it in a little bit different way. He says, have I given you enough information to make a decision?
Yep.
And if they say yes, you close it. If they say no, you say, well, what haven't I covered? How can I help you get
Make
more
it your fault. You got them. You again, take responsibility. Even if it's not your fault, it's okay. You're not there to be right. You're there to close the deal. Right? Make it your fault.
I like that. I'm going to do a post on that today. You're not there to be right. You're there to close the deal.
You are. What are we doing? Are we there to educate the homeowner or the property owner? Are we there to show them how smart we are? Or are we there to empower them and close the deal?
Yep.
Now that is staying in full control.
Yep.
You got to understand, you got to be able to step outside the picture for a second and look at what's going on between you and them outside the picture.
Yep.
When you've got that view, that 30,000 foot view of what's going on, you can pick up on things that you normally wouldn't pick up on if you're sitting in the appointment, not actually listening.
Right.
So you got to understand the dynamic of what's actually going on in the scenario and not have tunnel vision to where you're just worried about them saying no.
Right.
That if you're worried about them saying no the whole time, they're going to say no because that's what your attention is on.
I've been there, man. I know exactly what you're talking about.
It sucks. I hate it. I've been through it.
Yep.
And now that's part of my mission in life is to elevate the industry. So the newer guys or the people that have been doing it for a long time the wrong way, we got to help them and show them, look, there's a better way. There's a more professional way. And you can enrich your lives. You can take care of your family better. You can take care of your company better. You can grow your company if you're using very specific steps in every single appointment. Don't veer from it. Don't wing it. I've winged it for so many years. I wish I'd go back, man. Stick to a process. I don't even care what. Look, right now, just do something that's a process. Do something that's the same on every appointment. Let's just start with that, and then let's refine it and get it better. Most of us go out and wing it, and we just cross our fingers and hope this one will be one that I can close.
Yep.
That's not how you do it.
Well, hey, we're coming up on 1 hour, and this was just chock full. Yeah, it was just chock full of so much information.
What?
Yeah,
that was an hour.
Yeah.
Oh,
so it's close. I think we're at about 50 minutes or something like that. But yeah, I mean, this was a great session. I'm just going to go through a couple of questions that I had written down here that I missed.
Okay. I can't believe it's been an hour.
I know.
It seems like it's been 10 minutes.
How do you keep up with the latest industry trends?
Honestly, I'll tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you the truth. Groups like what you're doing, Facebook groups. There's so much information and knowledge being shared right now. I highly encourage you, be a member of a Facebook group that specializes in whatever little micro niche you're in our industry.
And here's another tip. If you don't find one, make one. That's what I did with Commercial Roofers United. I didn't see a good one on there. I'm like, well, there's a couple, but they're just not substance. So I created one. And I was not an expert with commercial roofing at the time. I'm like, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an atmosphere of new guys and veterans.
Yep.
And of course, that's when you start a group like that, you got to like be responsible for the result that is it going to be a toxic group or is it going to be a mature group? That's on me. And that determines who I let in,
right.
what I tolerate in the group. So
the law of attraction, you're going to attract people that are like-minded. If there's things, when you go out and there's things that you see about people or scenarios that you don't like, my first question is do you currently have that going on in your own life? Look, our personal life absolutely affects our business life. Absolutely, without question. So I'll leave you with this. You cannot be a cheapskate and not expect your customers to be a cheapskate.
Yeah. You
can't. If you want high quality customers, you have to be a high quality customer. It's weird how it works, but I'm telling you, I caught on to that years ago. And when I started carrying myself the way that I wanted my customers to be, then I attracted those type customers. They can sense it. So when you're talking about how uncomfortable it might be if you're used to selling a $20,000 roof compared to a $200,000 roof or $1 million roof, you've got to carry yourself at that level. And for me, I accepted, look, I'm going to get my teeth kicked in. I'd rather do it sooner instead of later. Let's just go out here and do this and see what happens. And I'm either going to crash and burn, and I'm going to learn from it, or I'm going to close this deal. And I got my teeth kicked in several times. And it was okay, though, because I knew, guess what? I still get to go home that night. I still get to go home that night. It's not going to impact my life. It's okay. It's okay to get rejected because you get to go back and try again later. It's okay. It really is. It's okay. Turn off that little voice in the back of your head that's telling you can't do this. Turn that voice off. That voice is only there to keep you safe in a dangerous situation. You're misinterpreting what the voice is telling you. The voice is telling you to keep it safe, but you're hearing, don't do this because you might get rejected.
And I would say, most people would say, well, then I'll turn the voice on that says I can do it. I would say actually turn the voice on that says I will do it.
There you go.
Because if you say I can do it, you're still on that ledge of like,
I'm doing
uncertainty.
it. I'm doing it. I'm doing this today.
That's right.
I'm doing it. Start telling yourself that.
Well, I appreciate you being on today, Dale.
Man, I loved it. I'm grateful to be part of it.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to add before we take off? Is there any events that you're going to be going to this year?
Well, I mean, man, all of them. Just look for the tall guy with the headband on.
That's right. Is there a reason for the headband?
It's funny how that evolved. When I first started teaching, again, I was out selling, I was putting big numbers up, and other companies reached out to me unsolicited and said, hey, whatever you're doing, can you come and teach my guys? So I would go and I'd teach them. And here's what I noticed about myself. When I get into flow, when I start flowing the information, I feel it go through my whole body. And the headband is actually literally to keep my my head dry. Because I get so much adrenaline from teaching and sharing and adding value to people that it's such a rush to me that I actually do break out in a sweat. Okay. And so that's what it's for. And then, of course, on the stage lights get kind of hot sometimes. And so that's really is for practical reasons, but I branded myself without realizing it.
That's what I was
thinking. To the point to where when I go out now, I have to wear the headband so they recognize me. It's crazy. So it evolved into that. It was not on purpose.
I did the same thing with my ugly sunglasses a couple years ago. I started wearing these obnoxious white sunglasses, and I got so much hate for them. But I'm like,
it's
hey,
all right.
You commented, man. You're watching me. Like,
Exactly.
and people hated it. But and
Get
then
attention.
I started wearing my hard hat whenever I was doing like lives and videos and stuff.
Yep.
People are like, what are you wearing a hard hat on a roof for? You don't really need to. They're saying OSHA doesn't require it. And I'm just like, well, it's an identifier. I mean, people take notice.
You got to get known. You got to get known. You got to get attention. Look, here's the deal. Haters are part of the equation.
Mm-hmm.
They really are. And ironically, the people who hate on you the most become your biggest fans because they think about you all the time.
That's right.
They really do. I can't tell you how many times I've had people that they approached me and said, you know what? I had it all wrong. I was dogging you 4 years ago, and I don't even know who they are. Don't even remember what they're talking about.
Yep.
And they'll come up to me and apologize and say, hey, I had you figured out wrong. I had you wrong. And so your haters will come back around and be fans. They absolutely will.
Yep.
Which is why it's comical for us to be concerned with whether people like us or not. They're going to come back around anyway.
Yep. Well, I appreciate you being on today, Dale. And I know you're a busy man, so I'm gonna let you go. But good luck for this year.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And I'll probably see you at an event real soon.
Absolutely. I'll be at all of them.
Awesome. If you want to leave your contact information, if somebody wanted to reach out to you, what's a good way for somebody to reach out to you?
You know what? Here's what I'll do. They can go to roofsalestraining.com, roofsalestraining.com. And if they click on that green button on there, I'll give them a free sales meeting.
Okay.
It'll be me directly, just like this right here. And
Okay.
I'll give them and or their team a free sales meeting. All they have to do is click on the green button and set the time they'd like for me to call them. And I'll give them a free sales meeting. roofsalestraining.com. That's it.
It doesn't get any easier than that.
roofsalestraining.com.
So, okay, cool. So with that being said, thank you for being on, and take it easy.
Thanks, Andy. Talk to you later.
You've been listening to the Rocket Roof Show podcast. Be sure to subscribe through your favorite podcasting platforms such as iTunes or Google Play to get the latest episodes as they are launched. For more, please follow us on social media or visit our website at rocketroofshow.com. We look forward to joining you here again soon at the next launch.